Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I am Farooq Geelani, your class teacher. Due to spread of COVID-19, you are indoors nowadays and you need to be indoors. It's my pleasure to designate some of the issues about the contemporary world politics today. Dear friends, as you know, the contemporary world politics has its origin since 1991. Before that, we need to go back to know about the World War First. The World War First broke out in the year 1914-1918. The World War Second broke out in the year 1939 and lasted for 6 years up to 1945. It gave birth to the UNO in the year on 24th of October 1945. First of all, we should know what is the emergence of Cold War. What the Cold War meaning is. The Cold War, the term Cold War has emerged during the term Cold War has emerged during the 1945. It was firstly coined by Bernard Birch, and it was popularized by Walter Lippmann. By Cold War we mean a situation where there is no war, but war-like situation. Or we can say it's a propaganda war, or it's a war of minds, or we can say it's a conflict, it's a strife between the two powers, but there is not any kind of hot war. Dear friends, you know what was the cause behind the World War First and World War Second, and what happened after the World War Second. How World War Second occurred. First of all, we should know that the World War Second occurred due to the strife between Allied powers and Axis powers. This was an alliance. This Allied powers, in Allied powers we were having our USA, USSR, this Britain and France. From one side, from another side we were having Axis powers. Those Axis powers were constituent of Germany, Italy and Japan. Actually, these first two powers, the USA and USSR, were not the part of the Allied powers first. But due to the autocratic power of this Japan exploded some of the missiles on the coastal areas of USA that compelled USA to come forward to be the part of the Allied powers. As such, this USA became one of the members of the Allied powers. After that, what happened? Some of the newly emerged countries, just like India, Egypt, Indonesia, likewise Ghana, they were newly emerged countries. What happened? That USA, USSR wants to be the friends to each other and having the same kind of alliance. After when World War II broke out, this USA, USSR, Britain and France, they made an attack on Germany, Italy and Japan. The cause of conflict was that this Japan, which was the lone imperialist power in the Asian subcontinent, and this Germany and Italy, you have heard about the Hitler, you have heard about the Mussolini. Those were the leaders of Germany and Italy. They were trying to assassinate all the Jews from the earth. As such, they launched an autocratic rule and opposed the democratic rule throughout the world. What happened after that? That USA tried to control the Japan, Italy and Germany to stop them for doing more and more destruction. After that, what happened? That USA dropped 2 bombs on the 2 cities of Japan. Those cities are known as Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 2 bombs which were dropped on these cities were the little boy and the fat man. What happened when Japan was actually trying to surrender its forces? Japan was trying to surrender. This Allied Axis powers were of the opinion to give up the destruction now and to surrender before the Allied powers. But USA here did some kind of autocratic rule that it dropped 2 bombs on the 2 cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the cities of Japan. What happened thereafter? There was a conflict arise between this USA and USSR. The two main issues which were there was that USA did not expose its atomic energy or atomic capability before USSR. Although having the friendship relations, although having the cordial relations, although having the same alliance, but it did not expose itself before the USSR, neither it informed it that it is going to drop the atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. For that purpose, there was a conflict, a rift, and there was the difference of ideology. Dear friends, you know that USSR was the combination of 14 countries plus Russia. What we call nowadays Russia, it was known as USSR at that point of time. And when it got its freedom in the year 1917. What this revolution is, we know this Bolshevik revolution. And this Bolshevik revolution was on the basis of, on the ideas of Karl Marx. The idea of classless society. The idea of classless society. And this USA has emerged on the basis of capitalist ideology. So there was the first thing which emerged before these two countries. There was this Axis powers got whole, vanished, it got distracted, their alliance was broken. After that, this Britain and France, they were trying to maintain their status quo in the world politics, but these two countries came in front of each other in terms of their ideological difference. The ideological difference was only that this USA was favoring the capitalism and this USSR was favoring the communism. Hereafter begin the period of what we call the period of 1945-1991, which is regarded as the Cold War era. Our topic, Cold War era, is regarded from the year 1945 to 1991. Now there emerged the emergence of two power blocs, one led by USA and another led by this USSR. The USSR was favoring the communism and this USA favoring the capitalism. The ideological difference between the two powers was the first point that the world got divided into two groups. The first group are what we call nowadays as bipolarity, or this power is also known as Western Bloc, and this power is also known as Eastern Bloc. Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc. The spread of capitalism They were in favor of spread of capitalism, and they were in favor of spread of communism. The spread of Western ideology was favored by Truman Doctrine. Truman, the US President, declared that all those countries which will support, which will accept our ideology, the capitalism, the spread of capitalism, we will favor them, we will provide them loans, we will grant them aids, we will provide them all kind of economic as well as security purpose. At that point of time, this Truman launched his propaganda, the war of propaganda, that all those countries which will come to favor us, all those countries which will come to access to the capitalism, they will be given security and they will be given economic boost. Likewise, this USSR too came with his own ideology, that is his Molotov plan, that the countries which will come to support, which will come to accept the communism as their ideology, as their state economy, we will provide them security, we will provide them economic loans and aids. After that, the second thing was this Truman Doctrine. This was the first we can say here, this was the ideological difference. The ideological difference was, or ideological divide. Ideological divide, that USA was in favor of capitalism and USSR was in favor of communism. Likewise, number second was Truman Doctrine. Truman Doctrine here refers to the US President Truman. He proposed that those countries which will opt for capitalism, they will be provided security as well as economic aids. Number third, there was Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of UK. He spoke in Fulton. This is also known as Fulton speech. He spoke that the shadows of the communism are spreading throughout the world. We need to contain the communism that inspired, that make the USSR more enemy to this USSR, more enemy to this bloc. Likewise, as such, this bloc tried to frame its own policy under Marshall Plan. What was Marshall Plan? Marshall Plan was the US Secretary General Marshall prepared a plan that all the countries which will opt for this capitalism, they will be given aids, grants and loans, and collective security will be there. Likewise, this USSR prepared their Molotov plan in order to contain the capitalist ideology. In Marshall Plan, there should be the containment of the communism, and in Molotov Plan, there was opposition to this Marshall Plan, that those countries which will give up their capitalist ideology and will join their hands with this, our bloc, Eastern Bloc, they will be provided, this bloc, Western Bloc and Eastern Bloc, they will be provided the collective security. The final thing was the formation of military blocs. Formation of military blocs. The formation of military blocs, just like NPT, TTBT. Likewise, you are having this NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, Threshold Test Ban Treaty. Likewise, we are having this SALT I SALT second. These were the treaties, these were the formation, these military blocks, but these were the disarmament treaties. These were the disarmament treaties between the two countries. But before it, we need to go the formation of military blocks. The first formation of military bloc was NATO, led by this USA. NATO, led by USA, it was established in 1949, and its aim was NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Its aim was to protect the world, to give the collective security to the members which will join their this bloc. First of all, their 12 countries agreed that they will form a military organization which will protect them from the spread of communism, and which will provide them the logistic support, the moral support, the economic support. After that, there was another organization constituted, which we know as C2. It was built in 1954, and C2 is the Southeast Asian Treaty Organization. Although only two countries, the Thailand and Philippines were the members of the Southeast Asia. Rest powers were from the European countries. Or third was CENTO, and this CENTO was constituted in the year 1955. Its aim was to provide central. This was the Central Nation, and this was the Central Nations Treaty Organization. Its aim was to give. This was also the constituent of. This CETO was the constituent of 5 members, and this was the constituent of 8 members. So this was the formation, but in opposed to it, this USSR made its own military alliance, what we know as Warsaw Pact. The Warsaw Pact aimed at what? That there will be, this NATO was aimed at, if there will be an invasion, if there will be an attack on any one of the countries or any one of the allies of this bloc, it will be deemed that this is the attack on whole of the members. That means if one of the members of CETO, or one of the members of NATO, or one of the members of this CENTO is being attacked, it will be deemed this is the attack on all the members of that organization. Likewise, but USSR made its own organization, what we know as Warsaw Pact. This Warsaw Pact was against to the formation of these military blocs. Besides it, there was the continuous struggle, the continuous strife, the continuous clash, the continuous collusion with each other. But this whole was propagated through brands, this whole was propagated through means of wars, but there was not an actual war, there was not a hot war. That resulted that this period is being regarded as the Cold War period. What there was complete deterrence, there was complete patience, both the countries. But so during the course of time, both these powerful countries, bipolar countries, both these superpowers tried to maintain their relations too. For that, they tried to make some agreements for disarmament or for the control of nuclear arms. For that, they built this NPT, TTBT, SALT 1, SALT 2nd, START 1, START 2nd. These were the treaties which both the countries made during the course of time in order to control the warfare, in order to control the arms, the spread of arms. This was about the formula. Now, if one would like to know for the further what happened during the course of time, for that we need to attend your second class by tomorrow, inshallah. If you like this video, you may please come forward to share it, to get like it. After that, you will get the notifications for the next video. Thank you.